Hello everyone, my name is Bonnie and welcome back to my channel, Sublime Sagas. So today I'm going to be going through all the books that I managed to read in November. So stay tuned. The first book that I managed to complete in November, I completed as part of the Believeathon prompts that were provided by Gavin over at How to Train Your Gavin. So the first book that I read for the Believeathon prompt, over 300 pages, is Nightmares by Jason Segel and Kirsten Miller. I listened to this one on audiobook. I've actually had that audiobook for several years now, so I'm very happy to finally say that I've completed it via Audible, and it was just like a cute middle grade, still kind of spooky vibe of October following into November. Didn't blow me away or anything like that, but it was a good time. Nightmares follows the story of our main character named Charlie, who has newly moved into this kind of eerie, creepy house that's kind of always been bugging him throughout his childhood. He is moving in with his dad and younger brother, in with his new stepmom, who he does not get along with at all. He literally refers to her as the step monster. But even more than just that family dynamic struggles going on, he also is having difficulty avoiding nightmares, so he tries super hard to not fall asleep at night because there is a witch that won't leave him alone. But our story takes off when it turns out that that witch and those nightmares aren't as fictional as believed. So yeah, it's a fun little middle grade journey. I feel like it's really fun with the different creatures we see that you might consider eerie or off-putting traditionally, but kind of played with in a fun middle grade way. It is part of a series, which it wasn't when I got the audiobook years and years ago. I believe it was either only a standalone at the time, or they just hadn't announced that there was sequels coming up. But yeah, I feel like it's just a fun middle grade book to enjoy for spooky season, or if you're like me and you wanted to hang on to spooky season a little bit longer. But yeah, it was a fun time. I gave it 3 stars. Like, it was a solid read. Didn't blow me away, nothing special. I will say the audiobook though is narrated by Jason Segel himself, so that was really fun to just hear his voice doing the different impressions and all that. But yeah, so down the line, who knows, maybe I will pick up the other books, but currently I'm feeling pretty satisfied with what I read of Nightmares on its own. The next book I read, which is more of a continued read that I had started in October, is Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerri Maniscalco. So this book, this one's pretty popular, pretty well known on BookTube. I feel like it's like YA kind of dark romance in a way. There's Princes of Hell. Our main character is a witch, and the kind of main driving force of this plot is our main character's twin sister is murdered, and the murder seems kind of like ritualistic with these demon princes. So our main character, I think her name's Emilia, she ends up summoning one of these demon princes to figure out what's going on with the cause of her sister's death, and wanting to seek revenge, and things kind of go from there. But yeah, it was fun. I pretty much just picked this one up upon hearing about the buzz. What stops me from the back when I picked this up from Barnes & Noble was witches, vengeance, and Princess of Hell. I was like, you know what? It's October. Let's have a fun, spooky time. Which I didn't finish in October, hence why it's here in this wrap up. But yeah, overall it was a pretty fun time. Once again, nothing special. Like, I was having a good time. I think what I enjoyed the most, what like elements felt the richest to me, was the inclusion of the presence of it being set in Italy. It's especially noticeable in how the food is described in this. Our main character's family has a restaurant of their own, and I really liked how it really helped ground the story, where everything else was like, ooh, magic, ooh, this or whatever. Just the way they described food in this was really something special, I thought. I just really didn't expect it. Also, I can't remember the last time I've read something set in Italy, so that was fun too. But yeah, I gave this one 3 stars. For a time I thought it was going to be 4, but just the ending I did not enjoy at all. It felt so rushed, and I felt like things weren't clear, and it wasn't, for me anyway, it wasn't a vague, confusing ending that you're like, whoa, that was so crazy, like, I'm confused, but I'm here for it. It was like, what? Like, what? Like, I felt like I have to reread it or something, and not in a good way, not in a, oh my god, I loved that, let me go back and re-experience it. It was like, wait, what just happened? Wait, you're saying what? What? So the ending really brought down a star for me, but I am still intrigued to see what happens in this sequel, just from where the next setting is, but yeah, so another 3 stars. The next book that I managed to complete in November was another middle grade book that I read for Believeathon. It was for the prompt Gavin recommendation, and that was Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. This one I picked up on audiobook from my library, and it was just so fun and delightful. If you haven't heard of Amari, I know it's pretty well known. It's getting more popular as well. But it's essentially a middle grade that's kind of like Men in Black, but more like magic knack based. The main plot is our main character Amari, her older brother goes missing, and it's kind of like, oh, did he get into something shady? Like, oh, I don't know, like, where is he? Is he dead? That sort of thing. But Amari believes her brother is still out there, and one day she gets an invitation to join a secret group that her brother was a part of. So she dives right into the world and kind of has to prove herself, and magic is kind of explored further in this world. I felt like B.D. Alston really like crammed in like so many magical creatures that are so intriguing, that like it just makes it so exciting to know such creatures are there in the world that could potentially be expanded upon later. And yeah, it was a really fun time. I really flew through the audiobook. It was also very well narrated, so definitely check that one out if you're wanting to listen to Amari that way. But yeah, I have 4 stars. I wasn't blown out of the water. I definitely, I wasn't necessarily surprised at any time of how things unfolded or anything like that, but it was a really great time. It was just, I feel like it is what middle grade fundamentally is, just like cute and comforting, but also fun and dynamic, and just like great kids just fighting for what's right. But yeah, so I really like the world that BB Alston has created, and I can't wait to see where they go with this world from here. Like, I think it has such great potential. I know people compare Amari to the Nevermore books, which I adore, so I can't wait to see it expand to the level the way Nevermore has. So I just think it has all the potential in the world, so that one was a delight. The next book I read for November was the last book I read that fulfilled any Believeathon prompts. I have read other books in November, but this is kind of where my Believeathon prompts are ending. The final Believeathon prompt I fulfilled was the prompt for a creature in the title, and for that prompt I reread Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. So, as the prompt was saying, creature in the title, Crow, Morrigan Crow. So, winning, also Fenestra, who is a giant magical cat, is also on the cover. So, bonus! It's not a bonus, but bonus! Nevermore, as I previously mentioned when discussing Amari, is a delightful middle grade series following our main character, Morrigan Crow. She is believed to be a cursed child that just brings bad luck upon her town, but when she is doomed to die on her birthday, she is rescued and whisked away into the magical world of Nevermore by the wonderful Jupiter North. And from there, Morrigan also has to prove her worth and that she truly does belong in this magical society, and just lovely trial shenanigans take place. It's just a world of whimsy, and she lives in this really cool magical hotel as well that's super cool, and just the characters are also rich. This story I have listened to many times via audiobook. This is the first time I actually had a physical copy with me. All the other times it's only been an audiobook, which, once again, I feel like this video is just me tooting all the horns of all the audiobooks, but Nevermore audiobook is lovely. Literally between chapters they even have like a little musical piece in between that kind of fits the mood that that chapter had previously concluded on. But yeah, I just 5 out of 5 stars. Like, literally, this series is so freaking good. Definitely one of my favorites. I've reread pretty much all of them multiple times. But yeah, definitely recommend. Like, even if you aren't huge on reading middle grade, I wouldn't say I'm huge on reading middle grade, despite my Believeathon participation. I don't often reach for middle grade, but this, I feel like it suits any age. It's just so comforting and fun, and just, it's a delight. It's a delight, and so charming. And I can't wait for this series to continue on. I think our latest installment is coming sometime next year, so I want it now, but we gotta wait. After completing the Believeathon prompts that I chose to participate with, I wanted to continue on my audiobook kick, I guess. And since November was the release date for the latest Gong book, I decided to re-listen to These Violent Delights by Gong. I read this book earlier this year and gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and it was just equally as fun and great to re-listen to on audiobook to prep for our violent ends. And yeah, it's another 5 stars. It's so good for me. If you don't know, These Violent Delights is a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in 1920s Shanghai, between two rival gangs, the White Flowers and the Scarlet Gang. It follows our main characters Juliet and Roma, and there's also another like mystery level to it where there's this infectious monster creature potentially roaming Shanghai. So while the gangs are kind of fighting each other for claiming Shanghai as their own, there's this kind of third party creature that is affecting both gangs. So Roma and Juliet decide to team up together to face this common enemy, regardless of how their family perceives that connection. It's just great. Chloe Gong just like reimagines these Shakespeare characters so perfectly, in my opinion. I'm a huge Shakespeare fan. I love Shakespeare retellings, so this is just a sheer delight, and just it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, I will say the monster element of it that I referred to isn't my favorite part. I don't love the way it's handled in the story, so like if I was being super strict with how I rated things, it would probably be more of a 4.5 stars or 4 stars. But just these characters are so well crafted for like Shakespeare fans. It just, she makes it so stinking compelling. I swear that just, I can't rate it anything other than 5 stars. So super fun to re-listen to this tale. Once again, the audiobook was done very well, so I'm happy that I retook in this story, and I am now fully prepared for the conclusion of this duology in Our Violent Ends. I'm terrified, but I'm also excited to see where and how Chloe Gong takes these storylines next. And then the final book that I completed in November is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So this one definitely took me a while to get through. This was another one that I had slightly started in October. I think I read like 15 pages one night when I just wasn't feeling like continuing on any other story. But I totally restarted and took in this story. Essentially this tale takes place at Yale, but it's more of like a paranormal murder mystery tale. Our main character, Alex, is newly part of a secret society that kind of monitors all the other societies that are within Yale that all study or practice a different form of magic, often in a ritual sense. So the society that Alex is part of is just going around making sure everyone's doing things properly, nothing illegal or strictly out of bounds. But of course, being that this is a dark academia murder mystery, there is kind of chaotic things happening all the time. We also have a second point of view, not as often. Alex is definitely our main character, but we do at times get the perspective of another character, Darlington, who is essentially kind of the mentor to Alex. He's like the golden boy. He knows all the rules. He is instructing Alex, and he kind of helps Alex feel more at home at Yale, which is definitely like fish out of water situation, since her life was full of hardship previous to attending Yale. This book, with it being dark academia, no surprise that there are plenty of things that that likely need trigger warnings for. There is a sexual assault scene and another one that gets referenced as well. There is drug use referenced. Like I said, there's a murder in this. So yeah, just violence and gore and all that. So definitely do your research if you find yourself sensitive to any such topics that are often found in dark academia, because I believe this is kind of like pretty standard dark academia of just like drug use and blood and gore and topics such as that. So definitely be wary. I know I was glad that I was aware of the sexual assault scenes present within, because they occur in flashbacks, so I feel like it's not something that's like gradually brought up. It's like suddenly you're in this flashback kind of thing, so definitely be aware, tread carefully. But yeah, for the reading of this, I thought that this was going to be like 5 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed all of Leigh Bardugo's other writing, but I was pretty bored for the majority of this. I really was intrigued by the beginning. The middle, I just didn't understand Alex's drive for pursuing this murder mystery, because essentially pretty much everyone writes off the murder as like, oh, her boyfriend did it, that sort of thing. But what I never really understood was why Alex was so drawn to continue to go after this murder mystery to try and prove that other things are going on with it. But yeah, so like that was kind of like weighing me down for most of the middle portion, and I felt like it waited a little too long to start giving us answers to all the questions we'd been having. Like once we had started receiving answers, which is like around 300 pages, I was then back on board. I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. Let's see where we go from here with these answers. So like I was back on board like slightly after 300 pages, but this book is only like 450 pages, so it's like, is that worth the amount of time that I was like meh about it? I don't know. And then the ending felt kind of meh as well. Although I will say like the last few pages on like where the story wraps and leaves us for the next book whenever she gets to publishing that one, I'm intrigued. I'm on board. I really want to continue on, but just how things unfolded previous to those last few pages, I was disappointed. It's only 3 stars, but like I said, she got me in those last couple pages that I will eventually read the sequel whenever it comes out. I mean, it won't be my top priority to get to, but I am intrigued enough to continue. But yeah. So that'll about do it for this wrap-up. As discussed and seen, these are the stories that I completed this month. Please let me know down below what you've been reading. Did you have any similar reads to me? Any rereads going on? But yeah, I'd love to know what you think, what you've been reading. Are you stoked for Our Violent Ends as well? Well, you know I am, so yeah. But thank you so much for watching, and hope you have a great day, and hopefully see you back here soon. Bye.